Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in last week's video, I mentioned codependency and practicing non-attachment or detachment. And this video is kind of like a sister to that video because this one is about like losing your ego. Sigmund Freud describes your ego as the psychological model that regulates sexual and aggressive impulses and navigates the tension between those drives and the demands of society. So in other words, it's basically a balance between your inner self and the standards of society. Ego can be good for a multitude of different reasons. It keeps you in check. Like it can keep your impulses in check. For example, if you want to, well, this doesn't happen with children, but in adults, like if you want to scream in public, or make a scene in public, your ego will basically have you second guessing, right? It'll weigh the pros and cons of each situation and why you shouldn't do it. But on the flip side of that, it can also be bad because it also kind of limits you. So for example, if you want to step out of your comfort zone, your ego kicks in and it is listing pros and cons of why you shouldn't do it. So the ego is very self-soothing and it is very comforting. It protects your sense of self, but it also can cause you to make excuses for your actions and, give you this sense of I'm never wrong. Give you this sense of entitlement. For the purpose of this video, right? Ego is going to basically be described as the belief that you have about your personality, about different relationships, about your talents, and about your abilities. So in researching ego a little bit more, I found this amazing quote by Juan Mattis. I really hope I am saying that correctly. And the quote says, "We are what we are only in comparison to others." And that is something that resonated with me so deeply because, as I mentioned in the last video, I doubt my own abilities and I was second guessing my own thoughts, my own opinion. The thing about ego is that if you listen to your ego, you will always feel like someone is doing better than you. The ego can have you comparing yourself to others, which is the thief of joy. And like I mentioned in my previous video, with the ego, there's always something more that you feel like you could be doing. Like you feel like you never have time to rest because there's always more work to be done. When you do something great, you feel like you could be doing something better. So it's like it helps you achieve greatness, but then at the same time, it inhibits you because it never lets you be proud of your accomplishments. And you're always feeling like someone else is further than you are. Another thing about ego is that ego in relationships that you have with people, it plays a huge role. And it's like unconscious ego too, especially with relationships because it's always like this game, right? It's always like this tit for tat. Like you're like, oh, he did this, so I'm gonna get him back with that. That is your ego talking. Like that is nothing but your ego. That will do nothing for you. There's no purpose in doing that. You don't want to be the first person to call. You don't want to be the first person to apologize. And that is your ego. You are scared of how you'll be perceived. You don't want to be the emotional one or the vulnerable one. Like, F all of that. Like, ego will literally have you trapped because you don't want to look a certain way. When it's like, just be yourself. Ego is just so limiting, It will literally just have you so limited. Another downfall of ego is that you will not ask for forgiveness. And this is important in any relationship, acknowledging that you are wrong. Admitting that you're wrong and asking somebody for forgiveness. So many people are scared to be wrong or apologize for being wrong because they don't want to look weak. But it's like, that is your perceived notion of how you will look, when in reality, if you were to actually apologize for something that you did or for something that you were wrong about, it will make that person feel even more comfortable with you because then they're like, oh, they saw the error of their ways and they're offering a genuine, sincere apology. I feel more comfortable being myself around them. If you want to walk around with a stink attitude all day and act like you're always right, then I don't know how you're relationships are going, but I'm pretty sure some of them are suffering. Ego also tells you that you don't want to fail. So then you're scared to try new things. You're scared to take risks because you are scared of the outcome. Now's a good time to go on my tangent about forgiveness. So the tips on how you can lose your ego. One is lose your entitlement. This is where you see that boastfulness come to play when people are talking about things that they're doing and then you are just like itching to talk about shit that you're doing when ain't nobody asks you. It's like always making conversations about yourself. Lose it. Lose the ego. Nothing has to always be about you. And that's another thing with forgiveness. Like, you are not always right. Just because you believe in something doesn't mean that what somebody else believes in is wrong. That's what's wrong with society today. That's a whole rant for a whole nother day. We're not gonna get into it. It's even worse when people know that they are wrong and they just refuse to apologize for it. It's lost on me. It truly is. Another way to let go of your ego is to be open, like practice being open and being honest. Be honest with people. Don't be open. Like, do what you want to do, be who you want to be with no fear. When I started detaching, it just, y'all see the skin, okay? The nails, we ain't gonna talk about it, but y'all see the skin though, okay? Glowing. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. And drink your water too. That helps. Another tip is to surrender control, which for everybody it's hard. For me, it's hard. For y'all, I don't know, it could be easy, but for some people it's hard. You can't control everything. And then the last and final tip is to get out of your own head. It's like you get the idea and then you start second guessing yourself. You put self-limiting beliefs on yourself, or you say like self-limiting thoughts to yourself and you believe them. Getting out of your own head, that's like a life hack, honestly. Like, get out of your head, get out of your own way. Your ego is here to stay, but there are ways that you can quiet your ego and not believe your ego. I really hope you enjoy. I will see you guys in the next video.